Gwitch everyone, Kojima Tashiv, and welcome back to episode number 163, I think, of the Inline G, a Flute podcast with me, your host, your boy, your motherfucking Inline G. What's the crack, lads? What's the crack? Listen, cards on the table. Just like last week, I'm on the pints again. I'm drunk. I'll tell you what, this podcast has to be released in 29 minutes. Fuck. I'm on my holidays still. I've got a week off still. Orchestral rehearsals start next week. Teaching jobs start next week. Chamber music start next week. Until then, I'm practicing the flute during the day, playing Metal Gear Solid at night, and then on Thursdays, we'll go for pints. It's lovely. Also, I'm fresh off the back of another viral video. A viral video on fucking Instagram and TikTok. Thousands, fucking 45, 50,000 hits per platform on my clip from last week's podcast about performative Irishness. I am made to be famous, by the way. You know the way some people, they get famous and they hate it, or they get like internet famous and they hate it. That's not me. I am born to be internet famous, man. I fucking love it. All day today, I've been replying to hate comments. Fucking living for it, man. This is what I was born for. Like, my favorite reply, by the way, is when someone sends me a big fucking essay about the reasons I'm a bad person in the world and all the things I've said wrong. I just reply going, blah, 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 blah. And it brings me a joy that you will never understand unless you're as petty as I am. So I was doing some research for an episode this week on classical music in Georgia, the country, okay? Good Georgia, not the bad Georgia. And because, like, for a really small country in Georgia, they have produced an obscene amount of classical musicians, composers, conductors, performers, etc., etc. It's ridiculous. And obviously I have a very personal connection with Georgia now because my girlfriend, my better half, is from Georgia. So I wanted to research it more. So I did start researching it a couple of days ago as I was sitting on my ass drinking Dr. Pepper. And I came across this style of music from the region of Georgia called Kaketi. It's like the style of like polyphonic music. Okay, bear with me here, by the way. This sounds boring as fuck, but I promise you're going to love it. So there's me, Googling away, sipping on my Dr. Pepper. And I see one of the tunes or one of the pieces from this region called a chakulo is on a thing called, there's a wee hyperlink coming up on the Wikipedia page of Voyager Golden Record. I'm like, man, whatever the fuck that is, I want a bit of that cake. So I clicked this hyperlink and I follow in. And sure, what was it all about? Space. Fucking space. Like up there, space. Class. Space is fucking amazing. I love space. So this week's episode is going to be about music in space. Because of music space. It's been on my mind a lot. Sure, last week we had the fucking eclipse. Don't know if did the Americans get the eclipse? I don't know. But we had the solar eclipse here in Europe. And sure, couldn't get the fucking fancy glasses for love nor money here in Germany. But do you know what I did? When the solar eclipse came, I gave it a wee look anyway. Looked right at it. But I didn't look right at it. I didn't stare at it. I gave it a wee all, you know. Yeah, looking up at the eclipse is fucking... Oh, fuck. Tell you what, my eyes are still there, so propaganda is what it is. But I basically missed it, so I went out that night to watch Shooting Stars with a couple of friends, and I have a friend here, a very dear friend of mine, called Marnix. He's a Dutchman, and Marnix knows everything. So I thought I saw a shooting star, and then Marnix corrected me. He said, Gareth, that's not a shooting star. You're a fucking idiot, you stupid city boy. I said, that is a satellite. And then he looked it up on his phone with some fucking hocus pocus voodoo, and he worked out it was the ISS, the International Space Station. Like, Marnix is a great man for space facts. He's a great man for planes as well. He's a great man for anything that isn't here but goes up there. See if it's up there? Marnix knows about it. So he sparked this wee interest in me because he's talking passionately, and you know what it's like, guys, when you see someone talk passionately about a subject, you get that wee bug off them, and I was like, fuck, space is class. Marnix, you're not wrong. So today's episode is going to be about space. And it's a great day for it because we've still got, 25 minutes after this. I'm recording this on the 20th of August, which is the 49th anniversary of the Voyager 2 space shuttle launching. 49th anniversary. What a fucking day. That is way back at... So, I'll explain it for you. So, back in 1977, there was a space program with NASA in the United States called the Voyager program. So, they got 2 unmanned spaceships, like small vessels, to fucking send them off and explore deep space. Now, the initial plan was to look at all the planets in our solar system, have a look at them. They've got cameras on the side, they've got different measurement tools, get an idea of them, send them back, right? And they were powered by decaying plutonium, which is very cool. Now, they sent them off in 1977 specifically because great year. Brilliant year. Not just for wine, but a brilliant year because there was a wee alignment of the planets that happened at that time, which meant that the gravity of each, like if the Voyagers are traveling through space and they come into the gravitational pull of a planet, it might send it off course. It might fuck it off. And then you have to get all the fuel in to redirect it and bring it back to where it has to go. But this year, in that specific year, the way the planets aligned was, it was a thing called, I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, the gravity basically sent it on its way. So when you went through planet to planet, the gravity just shot you onto the next one because of the way it worked. It was like fucking Super Mario when you have the wee power-ups. Just send it flying onwards, right? So these two Voyager ships went off and they sent all kinds of data back via radio, by the way, which you have these big transmitters across the whole of Earth. Yeah, I think I have one in Melbourne, one in Europe, one in the United States. So basically, they send it back to Earth, and depending on the time of day and how Earth's orbit is going, we have a giant satellite somewhere to pick up the signal. So if it comes at night, the Aussies can pick it up. If it comes at day, we can get it. That kind of crack. So these two ships go off on different trajectories, and the further they get, the boys at NASA are going, fuck, these ships are doing well. Maybe we'll let them, rock on a wee bit. Let's see where this takes us. Let's rock on. And the two ships, the two Voyagers, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, Voyager 2 set off first, by the way. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are still out there. They're still now knocking about, and we're still getting answers from them. We're still hearing from them. This is 77 they set off. They're the furthest the furthest, you can tell I have made a script for this. They are the furthest objects that are man-made from planet Earth in existence, okay? They've both also entered interstellar space, which is not the Christopher Nolan movie. It's a word for like basically beyond our solar system or beyond where our solar system has like a gravitational effect or pull on them. So they're fucking out there. Now the cameras have turned them off because at some point the guys at NASA went, we have to start saving energy to see how far these boys can go. So we're going to turn the cameras off. We're going to turn off a lot of the measuring tools. We're going to get the bare basics back here. So the ships, the two Voyagers still update us via radio. Still, right now. Still going. Now, when they send a signal and say, here, by the way, I've passed a fucking star or I've passed something, it takes 24 hours to send it from the spaceship back to Earth. And then if we want to send a message back to it, it's 24 hours as well. Really weak radio signals, but we can just about pick them up. It's fucking mad. Now, the guy that led this project was a guy called Carl Sagan. I'm sure you're all familiar with him, especially if you're American. I knew that name. I don't know where I knew it from. And I looked him up on Google. I was convinced he was in the Big Bang Theory until I heard he died in 1996. So he won the nut. All right. So if you're thinking the same thing, sorry to pop your bubble, but if he's in the Big Bang Theory, it's a fucking ghost you're looking at. Now, he led the project anyway. Now, I promise this gets some music, by the way. This is fucking class. I am drunk. King Kong energy, man. So as part of the project, he sent the two Voyagers off. He put a couple of things on the ship in case the likely or the potential opportunity came up that aliens would find these ships or these Voyagers. So they went, right, we'll put a few things on them as wee treats just for the aliens. Something to look forward to, like Christmas Day. So they put a record on each one, like a vinyl record. Now, on the vinyl record, by the way, there are 115 images to explain to aliens what humans are and what is life like down here on Earth. So it starts with science. What matter is, how to measure time, what units we use to measure time, what units we use to measure mass, etc., etc. Then it moves on to the Earth, the solar system, the sun, atoms, etc., etc. Then it moves to humans, loads on DNA, human anatomy, human biology, basically going from how the Earth started to how we are what we are now, how we came to be. Then there's a section, again, this is a fucking spaceship flying out past Pluto, fucking out of nowhere. It's got all this, it's got these pictures on this spaceship. There is a section for human reproduction, okay, how humans reproduce. So there's images of the human male and female anatomy, conception, fertilized eggs, human birth, breastfeeding, children, families, the natural progression. That means that somewhere out there in deep space, there's a dirty picture. there's a picture of a cock floating about out there in deep space. Somewhere there's a picture of a fucking Jimmy flying about out there. But I'm telling you, lads, I'm not making this up, right? I was very curious about this, especially the conception one. Especially they said there's an image of human conception floating about in space there. So I had to research it because I'm like, what dirty pictures are we sending off to aliens? What nudes are we sending aliens here? So I was thinking like maybe it's like a diagram. Maybe it's not a photograph. Maybe it's a diagram we're sending off to them. Or was it some like fucking dirty, pervy scientist, some fucking Harvey Weinstein of the NASA world, you know, just fucking taking pictures of like some fucking 18-year-old intern going like, no, it's for the aliens. It's really important that you you bend over. It's for the aliens, so it is. And just fucking, no, put it in there. Yeah. Now smack your ass while you're... By the way, spoiler alert, it is just a diagram. It's a diagram they've sent up there. There's no actual dick pics up in space. And then it has like all, I'm sorry, then it has like all life on Earth, you know, different species, different animals, etc., etc. By the way, in all the images that are on the Voyager spacecrafts, both of them, the two aircrafts or spacecrafts have identical images. Of all the images on the Voyager spacecrafts in deep space, there's not one fucking picture of Ireland. Not fucking one. Australia's up there. Sydney Opera House is pictured on it. Fucking Australia. We're not in there once. Then there's an audio section of the vinyls. Now, essentially two sides of the vinyl of music or audio. Now, by the way, NASA posted the exact recordings they put up, their albums essentially, on SoundCloud in 2015. Like the fucking 14-year-old in an indie band. SoundCloud. There's a NASA SoundCloud where they put up, yeah, guys, we just wanted to show you what we made in our first EP back in 2003. In 1977, sorry. This is what we made, and we thought we'd release on SoundCloud for our wankers, man. So basically, it starts off on the vinyl. The very first thing is a greeting from the UN. Jimmy Carter speaking on as well as US president. Then there is a track where it's greetings in 55 different languages across the world to our potential human or alien friends. Again, the Irish language, nowhere to be fucking seen. No one consulted us on this. It just fucking left us out. The Welsh made it on. There's a greeting in fucking Welsh on that album. Who the fuck let the Welsh put their language up to space and not let the fucking Irish one? Man, there's fucking propaganda in the 70s. Honestly. Then there's a load of music on the album. Now, this is where it gets into... We are, I don't know, fucking 10 minutes into this podcast, 12 minutes into this podcast. We're going to talk about music now. There is music on this album, which is fucking class, right? Now, I don't know if you guys heard the same rumor I did, but I believe for a long time that the first piece of music sent off to meet aliens was Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, which is I think it's George Harrison number, Here Comes the Sun. That's a myth. It is not on the album. In fact, they did want to put it on the album. They went to the record company holding the rights for Here Comes the Sun, and the record company said, no problem at all, it'd be $50,000 per fucking record to put this on, to send it out to space. Now, the whole fucking record, by the way, had a budget of $18,000. And these fucking cunts, man, like, how fucking greedy do you have to be as a company? Like, a record label company, you go, do you know what? No, you're sending off to space for extraterrestrial life, potentially in 5 billion years' time. 50 grand. 50 grand. I want it in my hand. Put it there. 50... But like, how greedy do you have to be, man? That is the one job in the world I go, do you know what? I'll do that for exposure. I'll take the exposure on that one. Put your money away. If you said to me, the very first thing that extraterrestrial life is going to hear is your recording, I go, do you know what? I'll do it for free. This one's on me, lads. No problems at all. Now, the first track of the actual music on the album after the introductions of the greetings, blah, 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 is the second Brandenburg Concerto by Bach in F major. It's by the Munich Bach Orchestra. Karl Richter is conducting. Now, there is a bit more classical music on the two sides of the album. There is the partita for violin solo in E major, the third one, by Bach. And it's the third movement, the Gavotte, and it's by Artur Guimino. If there's a spider there, I swear to God, you're going to hear me fucking cry. Then there is the Zauberflöte, the magic flute. Your Act 2, Hell's Vengeance, Boys of My Heart. That is by the Bavarian State Opera, by a Staatsoper. Wolfgang Sawallisch is conducting. Good luck pronouncing that one. etc., etc. Then you have The Rite of Spring, Le Sacre du Printemps by Stravinsky. You have Part 2, The Sacrificial Dance, and that is by the Columbia Symphony Orchestra, and Stravinsky himself conducted it. Then you also have Beethoven's Fifth, the first movement, by the Philharmonia Orchestra and Otto Klemperer. And then you have a string quartet from Beethoven as well, number 13 B-flat major, the Cavatina, the fifth movement by the Budapest String Orchestra. And the very last one that features on the album is the Well-Tempered Clavier. Jesus Christ. The Well-Tempered Clavier. How do you say that in English? Clavier. Fuck. Well, you know what I mean. The Bach, right? The very first one in C major, by Glenn Gould. Okay, so they're all featured on it. Now, as my duty to you guys on the Inline G podcast, I tried my best to find the fucking flute players in these albums, but Jesus Christ, that was tough. Now, what I can say is the Beethoven recording from the Philharmonia Orchestra and Otto Klemperer, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, it is most likely Gareth Morris playing first flute on that. I can't confirm it 100%, but I'm 95% sure that it's Gareth Morris playing the flute in that record. The Stravinsky Rite of Spring, it was a recording orchestra from Columbia Records. So, the best bet on this that I have at the minute is Julius Baker playing it, because Julius Baker did record the Stravinsky Octet conducted by Stravinsky himself for Columbia 2 years earlier. So it makes sense that Baker was the main man he would have went to, especially for a recording of this size. So that is my best guess. Now, the very last one is the Munich Orchestra. Fuck those. Lads, I've tried looking for it. If anyone knows who played flute in that album, please tell me. Now, beyond classical music, there is loads of different music on these records floating out there in fucking space. You have Javanese music, Senegalese music, Aboriginal Australian music, Indian classical music, Chinese music, Japanese shakuhachi, Georgian choral music from Kaketi, Peruvian music, Navajo music, Solomon Islands panpipes, Mexican mariachi, blues, jazz, a fucking lot is on it. And the best one is all, by the way, the best fucking thing on the entire album, Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry is on there. That is 100% fucking true. Fucking true. Do you know what it else has, which is so fucking cute? There's an amazing story. Okay, actually, before I do this, right, 60 minutes. We're not going to be on here much longer. Quick. I'm going to stop. I'm going to do the Patreon read for the usual listeners. If you're a new listener around here, please just give me your ears for 2 minutes. If you're a regular listener, skip ahead. Okay, quickly. The Inline G podcast is free. It's always going to be free, and that is a motherfucking guarantee. But if you wish to donate and support the podcast, you can now do so through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address, and for the listeners, the audio listeners, it is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute podcast. Listen, guys, it costs £5 a month, $5 a month. It might be less in your currency. This is an independent podcast. The definition of a small independent podcast. I do everything around here on my own. Audio production, video production, graphic design, script writing, you name it. Fucking dickhead here does it. You get an episode of this podcast every single Friday, come rain nor shine. It is a monster amount of work, but I adore it. It's the greatest creative project of my life by far, and I love you guys for it. I don't have sponsors on here because sponsors say I can't swear, I can't talk about political things, I can't talk about mental health. They can go fuck themselves. We now have the biggest flute podcast in the world, and it is 100% listener funded, thanks to you beautiful cunts out there. So listen, if you can afford to support the podcast, great. Sign up on Patreon. It makes the world of difference. Without the patrons, this podcast would not exist. If you can't afford it, that's okay. Okay, it's €5 a month. The way to work it as well is if you don't want to subscribe continuously for €5 a month, I get that, or $5, whatever it is, go on to the Patreon, subscribe, and immediately unsubscribe. That way you give me a one-off payment. Okay? Great. Happy days. Then you're free to go. If you can afford to, it makes a world of difference. As I said, it's keeping the podcast alive. If you can't afford to, times are hard. Being a musician is not easy these days. So if you can't afford it, that's fine. You're going to get the same podcast as everybody else. Now, quickly, the last thing on this fucking episode. The cute story. Brainwaves. There's Brainwaves on the fucking album. So, Anne Druyan, who's one of the creative directors of the Golden Record Project, this whole Voyager project, she had her brainwaves and physiological signals recorded for about an hour. So about an hour's worth of her thing was in there. Now, the signals were then converted into audio and were included on the record. Class. The intention was essentially to include something representing the electrical activity of the human brain. But there's one fucking mad thing about all this. Because during the recording process, Andrian and Carl Sagan fell in love with each other. So while she was being recorded for this, she deliberately thought about human history, civilization, the problems facing humanity, and her feelings for Carl Sagan. Meaning that somewhere out there in fucking deep interstellar space, way out there in the fucking heliosphere, there are two fucking Voyagers going off containing recorded trace of a human being in love. That's class. Now, the record, I'm going to describe it to you because this is mad. The record comes, right, so it's in a metal case, a big aluminium case. And then carved on the front and the instructions on how to play it. It comes with a stylus. It does not use any language because they thought, well, fuck, aliens probably don't speak English. Fuck knows what they speak. Fucking gobbledygook. So we'll make symbols. So they did symbols across the way of how to play the thing, describing it, etc., etc. Now, they also realized they couldn't use units of measurement of time like seconds or minutes because that's human. So what they did do was they put a little diagram of a hydrogen atom, and they used the time between a hydrogen atom takes between fluctuating between its two states as a unit of time, because they thought that's the most universal thing. They probably got hydrogen up there. If they can read that, they can understand what that is. They can translate it into their own time. Isn't this fucking class, by the way? Isn't this so cool? So there's a wee stylus that comes with it to put into the record to play it, and instructions on how to use it. Now, it instructs how to get the analog audio waves and the analog visual waves out of the record. So, by the way, the visual ones, there's even a test image with it. It's like a circle. And if they can make sure that they can read the lines on the test image and whatever they're using to read it has a perfect circle, great. If it's novel, they've done it wrong, they'll have to retry. It's a calibration image, essentially. Now, the aliens doing this would have to hook up this to a speaker or a screen. So the idea is they've got the analog signals, they have to have a way to express it in the way they're going to express it. So it might be speakers for the audio ones and a screen for the visual ones. Whatever the fuck they have out there. The assumption was at the time that if they got this far and they could find this fucking thing, they probably have a fucking HDMI cable knocking about somewhere in a drawer. Now, there's also, on the record, there's a little tiny bit of uranium-238 on there too, and it's decaying. And it has, uranium-238 has a half-life of 4.4-ish, 4.4, 4.5 billion years. So if they can work out that it is uranium and what uranium's composition is, they can then work out how old the ship was and when it was sent based on the decomposition rate. How fucking cool is that? Again, not using any normal standard time measurements, because fuck knows what aliens use to read time. Now, there is a lot more music in space in general. I have researched this a lot, but we are 22 minutes into this podcast and I don't want to talk anymore. So we're going to leave this. But what I'm going to leave you with, quickly, I have to talk about this. 2010, on the International Space Station, there was an astronaut called Catherine Coleman. She was, to my knowledge, the first person to play the flute in space. She went up to the ISS. She was an astronaut. She brought 4 flutes with her into orbit. She brought her own personal flute. She brought a 100-year-old wooden flute that belonged to Matt Malloy, an Irish wooden flute, Matt Malloy. She brought a tin whistle from Paddy Maloney, and she brought a flute that belonged to Jethro Tull up there. She did a Paddy's Day broadcast on the 17th of March where she played live from the ISS Cupola to celebrate her Irish heritage. Did a wee concert for everybody. And she did a Space to Earth duet, the first ever of its kind, unsurprisingly, with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, who was performing live on stage while she performed from fucking orbit, from space. And then the Chieftains, who Matt Malloy played with and whose flute was on the record, her recordings from space were later incorporated into the Chieftains album, which had an album called The Chieftains in Orbit, which was released in 2012. No, the track was Chieftains in Orbit. The album was called Voice of Ages. I need to look that up. But anyway, while those two Voyagers were out in space with fuck all on them to do with Ireland, there was the first ever flute concert was played on an Irish flute in space. There you fucking go. That's good enough for me, lads. I'll take that as a win. So, anyway, fuck me, that was good crack. This podcast has come out in 6 minutes. I'm away. Fuck you. All right. By the way, if you're listening, you've made it this far, hit the subscribe button, please. For the love of fucking Christ, leave me a review. It really helps, lads. I love you. Anyway, it's my last week of freedom, so make it nice for me. Free Palestine, Sangafoil, and I'll chat to you there. Mwah.